A year ago, I made the very risky jump to start producing, mixing, and mastering full time. I did it with barely any money and in the middle of a global pandemic. I guess it's only right to tell you what I learned. Making the decision to start producing full time was honestly a really long time coming, but there was a lot that went into making the jump actually happen. Up until last year, I had been producing and mixing records for about 7 years. By then, my portfolio had already grown to so many songs and so many different records with countless artists. But when it came to making the jump to full time, I felt like everybody else in a sense that I was really scared. And I want this video to serve as the video that I wish I had when I was going through my very first year. I'm gonna break it down into 4 different categories that were the basis of my entire work this year. And those 4 categories are LLC, clients, organization, and help. I wanted to talk about this whole LLC ordeal because a lot of you guys get confused as to if you need it, why you need it, and if it's even necessary to run your business. A lot of you guys jump on the bandwagon of getting an LLC because you think it makes it feel more official, which in a lot of cases is true, but at the same time, there kind of needs to be backing as to why you're opening an LLC in the first place. There's reasons why I opened an LLC for myself and things you need to consider if you plan on doing this too. Now, I'm no legal expert here, but from my research, they say you should only open an LLC if you plan on making enough money to where it has to be taxed. And yes, while Uncle Sam is constantly watching you and your money, if you're not making enough, it doesn't justify opening up a business and having to spend a lot on fees. And if you make money without opening an LLC, you're still considered a sole proprietor and you can still write that in your taxes. I started my LLC 3 months into producing full time because I just felt that I was going to be making a lot of money within the year. But the ugly side of that is that you have to pay annual fees and a lot of other things in order to maintain this business. And if you don't have enough funds to maintain it, then it's kind of gonna fall apart. Full transparency, I really only made $11,000 after taxes, and that's a full-time income for somebody who works minimum wage jobs. But I'm happy I did it with an LLC because it leaves me stress-free. There's no fear of being audited or Uncle Sam knocking at my door, and it really taught me a lot about finances and running a business economically. So look at your goals logically. If you think you're going to be making enough money within the year to where you need to log everything and you need to be protected, then I say do it. But don't do it for clout, and don't do it because you think it's going to make you so much more official. Let your work speak for you, and then you can make a decision. If you're a producer and mix engineer like me, you should know that this ship does not sail if you don't have clients. Like I said in the beginning of this video, I've been producing music for about 8 years now, which means that my portfolio is pretty high. I mean, look at some of these records, and there's so much more. But all these records still mean nothing if people aren't constantly walking through the door to work with me. Low-key, this is one of the more scarier parts of running a home studio. Asking people to pay you to help them for their project leads to a ton of rejection. And if you're anything like I was scared of rejection. But that's why I'm here to help. Simply understanding that you will be rejected will make you understand more that that's just how things go. And it makes you push 10 times harder to keep asking and asking. And what you'll see is that even with 5% of people saying yes, that 5% of people will literally drive your income. But then the question stands of how do you find these people? Do you run ads? Do you ask friends? Do you go out in town and scream, "Hey, I'm a music producer"? No. And honestly, it's actually easier than all of that. Although there are a ton of ways, I found most of my clients either through hashtags on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook groups that I'm a part of. I could say that I got around 60% of my clients through this Facebook page called Asian Creative Network. What I would do is I would go on these pages, I would type in musician or artist, and I would listen to their music, and if I really liked it, I would go on their Instagram, DM them, and offer my services. And on top of that, by producing so much, you get this word of mouth reputation and people start coming in every single month. But the reason why clients was so important to me is because not only does it give me money, it allows me to help artists with their future. It's such a humbling feeling knowing that you're helping somebody achieve their dreams, even if it's in such a small way like mixing or mastering. And isn't that the point of all of this? To help people? At least for me it is. And by helping people, it secures the fact within myself that this is something that I will literally do until the day I die. Organization is kind of a really boring topic, but it is essential to doing well your first year of producing full-time. You need to stay organized. I really learned that when I present myself as a sophisticated professional music producer, people tend to trust me a whole lot more. They not only trust me with their project, but they also respect me when it comes to my rates and my work ethic. But to be honest, it's not really about that. Being organized and knowing what you have to do when you have to do it is mentally healthy. Opening up your Google Calendar and seeing everything you have to do within the day is motivating to see. Even having your income organized is very inspiring, even if it's small wins. It's also really great for your CPAs. You should probably do that. Overall, it really just helps and constantly keeps you in check. And speaking of help and staying in check, I want to tell you guys how I got help in this jump both financially and mentally. Like I said in the beginning of this video, I started producing in the middle of a global pandemic. Because of that, I lost my part-time job at a restaurant, and for a few months I was actually collecting unemployment. This unemployment helped to the point where I knew I wasn't broke, but I also knew it wasn't going to last forever. At the same time, my bills were really low. For the first 6 months of producing full-time, I wasn't paying rent because I was getting help from my mom and my dad. This, quite frankly, is a situation that I know a lot of you guys are in, thus justifying you making the jump yourself. Along with the global pandemic came quarantine that everyone had to go through, and I spent most of my time inside this room. I just kept my head down and worked. But as a lot of you probably felt, the whole quarantine thing and even just running this business out of my bedroom tends to feel really lonely. Yeah, you're talking to all these people for connections and work, but emotionally it still feels as though your feelings are unseen. I won't lie, I was definitely depressed for a good amount of months. I've almost always struggled with seasonal depression, but last winter it just hit me really hard. And the pros say don't tie your emotions to how well your business is doing, but this is actually really hard for me and a lot of people like myself. Because when the business is doing good, it's exhilarating, but when it's bad, you feel as though it's your fault. But there were a few things that I constantly heard throughout this journey that I want to share with you today. Number one, almost no one makes good money year 1 and 2. Don't give up, keep trying new things, and go. Number two, as a business owner, a lot of people around you won't understand what you're going through. But the last thing you should do is resent them. Just be happy you have them and constantly work on yourself. And number three, good things happen to those who are very persistent. When things get bad, grief, but also when things go good, celebrate. But don't let that stop anything. Constantly keep the ball going. I am really proud of my year 1. I was put into a situation that felt like lightning in a bottle, but now that I'm here, I realize that it doesn't need to be this way. A lot of you guys could take the jump to producing music full time now. Just know that knowing and putting action behind the things you want will always give you some result. Take it and run with it, and in my opinion, that's how you keep your legacy forever. Thank you guys for watching this video, and before you go, I want to give you a free gift. A few weeks ago, I released my very first loop pack called Dream Boy. This loop pack contains 8 loops that are designed to make things feel dreamy. These loops could help you with your songwriting, your beat making, or even if you just want to toy around with it. And the best part about it is that it is 110% free. So as a thank you for constantly watching these videos, that link is in the description down below. Please be sure to like and subscribe and comment down below if you think you're ready to make the jump to producing, mixing, or mastering full time. Thank you again. My battery is about to die, so I will see you next week.